Hey, Colleen.
Hey, Michelle.
How's it going?
I am doing well. How are you?
In all honesty, it's been a busy day. Like, do you ever have days where you are busy the whole day, but somehow got none of the things done that you wanted to get done that day?
That's the worst. I do not like that.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like a bad day, right? It was
Yeah.
just, well, also I didn't start until 11 because I went to the gym. So that kind of,
But it is
I don't know.
8:30 at night, so you
Yeah,
still
and then I
worked
just like sort of make it up like later in the day,
a
right?
nine and a half
But
hour
like,
day, just to
yeah.
say.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. No, I think actually, I mean, we are hiring engineers right now, and I
Mm-hmm.
like we had a couple of calls today. That were all really good, but I just like don't plan in the time to like debrief afterwards. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it takes up so
Yes.
much more time than the half hour or whatever, right? Because there's like, and then there's like 15, 20 minutes of prep time, and then there's a debrief afterwards. And then I also had a call with a potential customer, and that was 15, 20 minutes of prep time beforehand. And then, like a half an hour of, like making a pretty proposal and everything, which I'm
Absolutely.
addicted to doing with Claude, by the way. Like,
We all
do,
are. It's not
do you
just
do
you.
that? Like,
Yes.
I fed it our design system, and then I made a skill for like geocodio design, and now it makes me these beautiful PDFs that are so much nicer than the very plain like Google Doc one pagers, or God forbid just like a plain email that I used to send people.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Um that actually, so like that reminds me. So last week I made like a sort of like an agent skills repo, for like for
Yes.
geocodio with a bunch of those different things so that we can all use them. Um and there was something we were talking about last time, and this is not an AI podcast. We'll talk about other things.
I
But
mean, it
like,
it could be an AI
is
podcast,
everything
but
an
go
AI
ahead.
podcast now,
Everyone,
honestly?
okay,
Like,
can I just tell you, I was traveling. I was on vacation 2 days ago. I'm at the pool in Austin, Texas, and like the bachelorettes are like in the pool getting hit on by the drunk bachelors. And I am not even kidding you. They were talking about AI. Like,
were they
it's,
hitting on women like about AI?
yes,
You're like,
it was
hey
the
girl,
most,
I'll get you a Claude Max subscription. Like,
it wasn't quite that spectacular, but it was still pretty good.
that would be
I
amazing. Be
wish I
like,
had recorded it.
hey girl, I have Claude Code running in 10 tabs in my terminal right now.
I have Max.
I've got 3 Max subscriptions. Oh my god. Oh, that would be like the worst AI pickup lines, which is like when you hear AI pickup lines, you think like it's AI making the pickup lines, not using AI as the pickup
AI.
line.
Like,
Flexing about your Claude subscriptions. Dude, okay. Well, so I was in New York over the weekend visiting a friend of mine from growing up.
mhm.
We ended up talking about AI. Like, she works in fashion retail. Like, and then we were visiting friends in DC like, a couple months ago. And I feel like every conversation turned to AI. And it's like not because I'm some like hardcore AI person, right? Like, let me remind you that like my book was in the LibGen stolen database of books that Meta and OpenAI used for training data. Like, I was very sort of like reflexively against a lot of this until like May of last year, until I kind of like got over how wounded I felt about that. And also because the models got a lot better. But like, I am not like a hardcore AI proponent by any means, and I'm not like bringing it up all the time. Like, it surprises me how often it's coming up with people who are like not software people in a way that it didn't like before Christmas, I feel like.
I honestly think this is because everyone is worried they're going to lose their jobs.
I think that's yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it, but also
I
like
think that's
my,
a
well, yeah.
big part of it.
Yeah. I guess there's people who are worried they're losing their jobs, but then now people who are in like management positions are getting an AI mandate from the top. And
Yes.
now they're like, and you have to use AI, you have to have your team use it, you have to teach everybody else how to use it. And they're like, but people don't know what they're doing. Like, how do we make sure that they're what they're getting out of it is good. And how do we build like good guardrails around it? And I feel like there aren't really good, like there's no best practices right now about using AI. It's moving so fast. I mean, okay, so Matthias is giving a talk in Sweden tomorrow on Chief, which if everybody listening to this has not tried Chief, you should go try Chief. And he first gave the talk in January. I think he realized earlier this will be the 4th time he gives this talk. And he's given it on 2 continents as well.
Nice.
And he's like, every single time I have given this talk, I have had to rewrite it because stuff has changed in like the 3 or 4 weeks between when I gave it.
Yeah.
Which is just wild.
It's wild how quickly it's moving. Yeah, it's crazy. I may be doing, I got a request to do a workshop. So I may be doing a private workshop, teaching, but it's interesting because you think about like, what kind of content am I going to put together? Like, what are the best practices? We have best practices like today, but in 3 weeks, it's going to be different.
I think the best practice is learning how to adapt.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. I think that's why, another reason, I think everyone, your friend in the fashion industry, the frat boys at the pool, we're talking about AI because you have to be able to adapt, right? And you have to be open to exploring it in order to stay relevant.
But I think there is, at the same time, if we were to draw, sort of a line for like today, I think something I did want to talk about that we kind of talked about last time, and it's something that we think a lot about at Geocodio, is how do we put guardrails around it so that the way we're using it, like, it's following existing code patterns, or it's doing more of what we want it to do the first time. Because, I mean, as we've talked about, right, like, the coding time has gone to like almost 0, right? And now a lot of that, there's scoping time, and there's like so much more of it is QA time. And that's how you sort of reduce the QA time, is by giving it giving it boundaries. But I wanted to sort of throw this question to you, like, but when we talk about that, like, what actually are we talking about when we talk about having shared AI tooling and giving it boundaries? Like, what specifically do we mean?
I think that's a great question. And I'm kind of obsessed with the Stripe AI minions. Like, this article came out a couple weeks ago. I don't know if we talked about it, but I heard about it on a podcast this morning. Claire Vaux's How I AI podcast was talking about it. And I really am fascinated in the way that big companies are doing that, because I think when you have a small organization, it's easier to share context, right? Like, for your organization, for example, you built out a repo for all of your marketing actions, and you have a small enough group of people that all those people can access that pretty easily. But when you have an organization the size of Stripe that has hundreds and hundreds of best practice documents, I think it's really interesting to think about, how do we give all of those documents the correct context so that our engineers are all following the same AI rules?
Yeah, and I guess what are specific things, I guess, that people can be doing? So I mentioned that that we have this like agent skills repo where there's shared skills across the organization.
I think, okay, so yes, shared skills across the organization. I think shared skills, like in terms of coding, coding best practices and coding standards. But it's weird because now all of this documentation lives in MD files, and we're not used to thinking like that. So I think that's like looking at a organization. Well, I mean, I can tell you, so in some organizations like yours, maybe, that has many different repositories, what I have done personally is I have everything in one folder, and then I put all of the informational file, or all the information, in that top level folder. So every single repo can access those MD files for best practices and coding practices. But also, I think like one thing that's really interesting is you should build out a set of hooks. So if I'm in Claude Code and I'm working on the repo, when I exit that, there should auto write somewhere what we learned, right? Like I made this so much in engineering is decision making, right? Design decision making. We are always making design decisions and we are never documenting them. So this is funny because I have a friend, we were going to start a little business to solve this problem. This was like a year ago, but he was like really frustrated with this problem. Engineers are terrible about documenting why they make decisions and then they forget. And then this is like the joke, right? Like, oh, I get blamed myself. So I just feel like documenting design decisions is so important.
And so you have like a little file where it saves off your design decisions from your conversations?
Yeah. Exactly. So it's like, why did we make this decision? But what I haven't set up yet, which I want to set up, is it doesn't do it automatically yet, right? So I think next thing I need to do is like write a hook. So every time I exit Claude Code, it's going to be like, oh, here are the design decisions we made during this session. I'm going to write those to my design decision file.
And I guess, do you have that like as part of like do you have some sort of like a template you're using when you create PRDs that it's like explicitly asking that as part of the step, or is it extrapolating what those design decisions were, and then are you validating that it's articulation of the design decision that you made is correct?
Are you validating that? So you're basically asking me,
what does the process actually look like, right? Like, are you sitting there saying, okay, here's the design decisions I made, or is it part of your scoping process? Like when you're in plan mode, do you, or when you're making a PRD, like, do you have, a skill in there that is basically asking you to define what those decisions are? Or are you having Claude extrapolate what the decisions made were for you, and then those are what's going off, and then you're sort of like checking those yes, that is the decision I made and the reason why? Because I find that when I have it do this, it doesn't, like, it's kind of like hit or miss, like 50-50
whether it works. Yeah. So what I'm doing now, and like process improvement I'm sure could happen here, is what I do now is I write all the design decisions like manually. Like every time we make a decision, I'm like, hey, write that to my README. Like, don't forget.
Okay,
write that
you tell it that you made a decision.
Because I know, because especially, like, I can think of something that's a little more complicated that's a better example. So I set up OpenClaw, and then I set up OpenClaw for a bunch of different people.
Me, by the way.
So I set it up for a bunch of different people, and there's a lot of, like, weirdness in OpenClaw. It's kind of messy. Everyone has a different workflow, so there's, like, difference for different customers. So every time I make a design decision, like we are going to use Docker because so I like symlink my files to Dropbox. So like every time I do something like that, I'm like right into the README that I had chose to symlink my files to Dropbox. So you can never change openclaw.json on the Hetzner server. And then when I go to add new features, but I do have to frequently remind it to check the README, and it will tell me things that are wrong. And I will have to be like, that's wrong, Claude. Go read the README. So, so I don't have a great process where it's right 100% of the time.
Yeah. I love that. It's sort of how Claude will be like, oh, you're totally right. I forgot to do that. Like I was working on something the other day, and, and part of my instructions were, you may read from this set of folders, but you cannot write to them. You can only write to this specific folder. And then I was like having it wrap everything up, and I was like, great, like, summarize what we did, and it's like blah 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 blah. Oh, and like change this and this file, and I was like, Claude, I specifically told you that you could only read from files in other folders. You may not write to them, and then you just said you were going to write to them, and it's like, oh, you're absolutely right. Let me just undo that. I was like, yeah, go do that. Go do that now. Like, don't touch my files. You didn't have permission to. Pause off.
I know, right? Like, I think the most interesting thing about this, and I think everyone is struggling with this, is processes and these like non-deterministic outputs, right? Like we're not even like setting up multiple OpenClaws for people. It will not do the same thing every time, despite my heavy documentation in the README. So I think this is like the big challenge we're going to be facing over the next year plus.
Yeah. I mean, I was working on something a couple weeks ago, and I used Chief to basically do something 45 times. And it had very specific instructions for what it was supposed to do. And then like, and I was like, okay. And then we're, if we're doing Ralph loops, then it's going to like, it's not going to, we're not going to have the context window problems. Right. And it's going to be the same quality each time. And no, it like just made some like random decisions, like for some of them that were like not following the PRT. It was like,
yeah,
why?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it really is like, it's like working with a really, really smart intern who doesn't really have any real world experience, and you have to give them like very specific instructions, and then you have to check everything that they do to make sure that they followed those instructions. And I was talking to someone the other day about this, and actually they were saying how like their junior team members really struggle with how to prompt. And I was like, I think it's because they've never had an intern themselves. Like, they've been the intern, but they haven't been that, and like I did a lot of internships too. Like, there's no shade on interns, right? Like, that's can you tell me how many, like, cannot tell you how many mail merges I screwed up, like, as an intern, okay? Like, I made the dumb intern mistakes and had to have somebody check them. And then there might have been once when somebody didn't check them, and then a whole bunch of high school seniors in my state representative's district got congratulations on graduation physical mail that had the wrong last name.
Oh no!
Yeah, that was not great.
That's not great.
Always check your intern's work, because your intern might have been me, okay? Your Claude intern might have been me, right? It's like, Michele, did you remember to like expand the columns? It's exactly like talking to Claude. Yeah, I think it's like I think this is the big thing, that there's like the tooling piece of it, right? You can make sure that everybody is kind of like working within boundaries, right? Like, I don't know if I said this last time, but it's kind of like when you go bowling with kids and they have like the little rubber barriers for the side, right? Like, kind of putting some safeties in there, but you still have to know, like, you still have to have more context than that, right? Like, you still have to know how to steer it. And I think that's the really hard thing to teach people, like, especially like your like junior team members, who maybe don't have as much business or like industry or like subject matter context. They haven't been in their job as much. And I'm really wondering how you can teach them that. Aside from making them do it, the old-fashioned hammer and chisel way that we did, regardless of what the subject matter is, whether it's coding or business decision making.
Yeah, I think especially. I mean, I think it's almost. Here's the problem. Now I'm reflecting on all the things I have built with Claude as my helper, and my extensive experience as a developer and a human and a SaaS founder, for 20 years before Claude entered my life, makes a huge difference. I also was working with someone recently who didn't have a lot of experience prompting. It feels like really, I don't want to say dangerous, but it's really a problem. Like, and how do you solve it? Because guardrails, I mean, sure, you can have files in there to help Claude, like, here are best practices and here's our linter, and you can have all that stuff. But to your point, there's so much context and so much nuance, like you just have for having done this for a long time, that I worry, honestly, this sounds so dramatic, but like, I worry about the future of education. Like, I really do. Like, I worry about the future of coding and education and all this stuff, because I don't know how else you get that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a really scary time for kids who are just coming, who are in school right now or are just coming into the job market. Like, it's probably really uplifting for everybody out there.
Okay, yeah.
Who has like, a 21, 22-year-old kid. I would be curious to hear from people, actually. Like, if you do have a 21, 22, 23-year-old, or you are a 21, 22, 23-year-old. I think there's more people who are parents of those people, though, listening. Like, how are you preparing your kids for this? How are they preparing for it? Like, yeah, yeah, I don't know. I think guardrails are only going to get you so far if people already have the necessary subject matter experience.
I totally agree. And even like thinking of your context, like I believe you're hiring, I don't know if they're entry-level engineers, but like maybe I'm wrong.
Mid-level.
Okay, mid-level, never mind then. But like
Yeah.
if you're hiring entry-level engineers, do you not let them use AI so they understand like how code and deployment it works?
I feel like that's not an option at this point, right?
No, because they'd be too slow. They'd be so slow,
Right?
that
Yeah.
you'd have to be incredibly committed to I don't know. But on the other hand, it's like if you start to drive and you just get in a Tesla and you let it drive you everywhere, you're never gonna learn. So what do you do? I don't know the answer. Like but I do think it's a tricky problem.
And this is the podcast you listen to for answers. So you're welcome, everyone. No, it's really hard. But yeah, because I saw someone saying that your 1x engineer with AI is like maybe a 0.8x engineer with AI, right? Like it's gonna slow them down. But then your 10x engineer is now a 100x engineer,
Right.
Like especially the people who are, the builders who just love creating things rather than the craftsmen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I
Anyway,
gonna say?
we can talk about something besides AI. Can we? Are we allowed
let's
to?
talk.
Is that allowed these days?
We can do whatever we want. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
But what do you have going on?
I mean, that's all I have going on. That is my mind 100% of the time is AI consulting, AI in businesses. Yeah, that's all I think about.
Can I tell you? So when I was flying to New York last week, I was like, I was going to visit a friend, and so I was like, you know what? I can work on the plane all day on Thursday, work from home with her on Friday, and then I fly back Sunday night. Like, so I basically don't miss any work. Great.
Okay.
Not that, I have this boss over me who's counting my vacation days or anything, right?
Sure.
No, but it's like,
What's
I just
her
don't
name?
I don't want to get behind. And I was also sick for a whole month. Did I tell you that, by the way?
No, that's awful.
I was sick for a whole month. Yeah, I had bronchitis.
Oh my gosh.
And then it rolled right into the world's worst cold. And then I got a sinus infection.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's awful.
Great. Anyway, yeah, but everybody around here has been sick like that too. It's terrible.
It's a bummer.
Yeah, but thank God for antibiotics. So, I was like, I'm going to just work all day on Thursday on the plane. And I just had all these dreams of me and Claude, just hanging out for 8 hours, no meetings. Of course, plane Wi-Fi isn't amazing, but we were on a flight.
I love working
a couple
on the
months
plane.
ago. And Matthias just had Claude running the whole time. And it's somehow not as slow as other things. I've been in situations where Claude would load and run perfectly fine, and then LinkedIn won't load, and I'm like, what is going on here?
What is happening?
Yeah, I found out 5 minutes before I was boarding that there was no Wi-Fi on the plane.
Oh, sad.
Yeah. So
I don't like that for you. All of your big dreams were crushed.
My Claude in the clouds dreams.
Claude in the
all
clouds.
crushed.
I have something a little bit fun.
Okay.
I have hired a sales coach.
Oh.
So,
interesting.
I'll
so
report back.
The marketing coach hires a sales coach.
Okay, so here's the funniest thing. It's literally the same thing I do. So okay, let me explain this.
Why did you hire them?
Because when I am coaching someone, it's not about me. I don't get to talk about me, right? So if I'm coaching you, you are talking 80% of our coaching call. There is something
I'm talking 80% of the call anyway.
Anyway. Right? So there is, and if you hired me as a coach, my focus is on you and your business, right? It's not, right? That obviously, who's your ICP? Let's define your ICP. How do we reach them? What's our go-to-market strategy? Are we doing this? Are we doing that?
Right.
So it's just, so basically the sales coach is just a normal coach. It's just funny because it made me realize I don't really have that. I don't have anyone who does that for me. And it's really, really hard to do that for yourself. Like, yes, I know all the rules. Like, I need an ICP. I need to make my, like, he literally is teaching me what I teach. And I'm like, but it's so nice to have someone who is an expert in his particular field, like for me to just talk to him. And it's just about me, right? It's about who's my ICP, who's in my network, how should I reach those people? Even though those are things I could probably figure out all on my own, it's super nice to have someone else listen to me and try and help me figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like how therapists have their own therapists.
Yeah, conceptually, right? It's
like,
the same.
Yeah, the experts have their own experts they go to.
Yeah, it's just the funniest thing is literally like when he was like, well, you got to define an ICP. And then he was like, I was like, oh yeah, I teach people how to do that. So cool.
I mean, but I feel like you could just make like Colleen bot that is like,
it just doesn't work very well.
You could just make like a video audio version of yourself created by Claude that asks you all of the questions you ask other people.
I don't think so. This is the thing. Like, I was talking to one of my girlfriends who's acted as she's also a startup founder. So she's also acted as a very helpful sounding board. And I noticed like Claude will always like, it's just, there's no creativity, right? There's no thinking outside of the box. Claude is like, oh, I see your network is SaaS founders and developers. So obviously your ICP should be SaaS founders and developers. Like there's no like thinking outside the box. Yeah, it doesn't think. Right? Who knew?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Oh, wait, we all knew. We just forget.
Yeah.
It just pattern matches. So it pattern matches on what I tell it to pattern match on. So it's been really cool having an outside voice, like someone outside of my network doesn't know me, to come in with this totally different perspective.
I mean, do you tell Claude to be critical though? Like,
yeah, but it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't. It still just kind of does what I tell it to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'll tell it to be harsh with me. I'll be like, don't hold back. Be critical. Like, and then it's like, okay,
that's awesome.
Well, if I'm being really honest, but even still, it's not going to give you that, I find this when I'm having it analyze customer interviews, like it gets, 70, 80% of it, but like, well, 70%, I'll say, but like, it's not going to tell me what I found interesting. It's not going to tell me like what's the spiky weird thing that I want to follow further. It's not going to tell me the thing that reminds me of something I heard 3 years ago that now I'm just realizing might be something, right? Even if that thing is in my notes, right? It's not giving me, I don't know, I guess that brain I have built up over, my professional career, right? Like to what you were saying earlier. But yeah, it doesn't give you that outside the box thing. And this is honestly of everything going on right now, and I think you've said this as well, I'm so bullish on in-person events, right? Like, especially as like as a writer, right? Like I sent out a newsletter a couple months ago. Maybe it was like a month ago when I did my ship score framework thing about how to prioritize
I remember
all your ideas and everything. And I felt like I had to write at the bottom that like every word of this was written by me, because there's no way that that, and versus like if you're at an in-person event, if you're talking to someone in person, if you're watching me speak on stage, like, that's me, I guess I could be like, what was it? I was going to say Kanye, but not a Kanye hologram because he's not dead. Michael Jackson
Tupac.
Or someone, they made a hologram. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. Yeah. It's that person, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes.
Versus even if like you might not be you right now, like I might actually be talking to Claude Colleen, because you fed your voice to AI and you fed like our past video podcast to AI, and it was like, all right, I'm gonna make this Colleen, and then but like it's gonna think that getting interrupted by what was it, plumbers or something, like is gonna be like that's like part of your shtick every single time, and so it's gonna have you interrupted by like, oh, like this time there's landscapers outside, and then next time there's gonna be like some other interruption, right? Like you might not be you. Like there's no way for anybody to know that this is actually our voices, which is Terrifying.
Weird.
But they
Yeah, it
can
really
know
is.
that if we are at an event, if you are in person, if you are sitting, I mean, like when you meet up with this friend of yours, like, are you actually going out to coffee? Are they local, or
Yeah,
is
they're
it
local. We meet in
online?
person.
I
We
think
meet
those
in
things
person.
are so worth it now. Like so,
I do too.
and I think coming out of COVID, there was definitely a feeling that like in-person events were going to be a big thing again, and like revenge travel. And I feel like a lot of conference organizers I know had a really rough year, like 2023, 2024. Then maybe that was more like the engineering job market and stuff like that. But I'm super bullish on it right now because it's the only way you can know that there's a real person behind something, is to be able to, you know, reach out and poke them.
Yeah. Good talk. Good talk.
Are you submitting any
yes.
talks this year? Do you have any coming up?
I do not. I am in this very interesting professional transition phase, as you are well aware. So I really don't go to conferences. I generally try not to go to conferences unless I'm speaking. And I really need I need a real goal besides that I just want to see my friends to justify the cost of conferences these days. So, I mean, if I got into an industry and was like, I'm going to be the AI person for property managers, then yeah, I'd go to like a property manager conference or whatever. But I just, just to go isn't really worth the amount of money I'd have to spend. That's generally my conference. I mean,
I really enjoy going as a speaker, but I do tend to feel like my speaking and sort of all this kind of stuff is kind of self-indulgent, right? Because I'm always like, is it really like contributing to the business?
Yeah.
But just in the past week, like one of our engineer applicants like told me that they saw me speak at Full Stack Europe 4 years ago, and last week a customer told me that they, when they needed a geocoding service, that they had heard us on Startups for the Rest of Us, like, which was years ago.
Years ago.
Matthias and I were both on it, and they were like, I want to use Geocodio because they seem like, like nice people. They're not the big guys, right? Which kind of made me feel good. It made me feel like, because I enjoy doing this and trying to help other founders, because I feel like they're, like when I was coming up, like I didn't really have anybody helping me, and I feel like the only people I knew around me who were starting software businesses, it was all like venture-backed stuff, and it was like people at like there was like a, I don't know what you call it, like a co-working space thing in DC that was like, but it was like all like funded startups, and like the fact that like Geocodio wasn't really anything like sexy or interesting and like fundable was like, people were like, why are you even bothering, right?
Yeah.
And oh my god, I mean, I think I've told you this, but I remember when I went to MicroCon for the first time. It was like 2019, and I had this like image in my head that you had to be already successful in order to go to MicroCon, because I guess it was like the only people I knew who went.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like going in and being so sheepish about it and being like, oh yeah, like we're just at like 1 million ARR, and people were like, where have you been? Like, what?
Yeah.
And they're like, how did you get that far and you haven't been here? Like, where? Like, and how do we not know you? Like, what? And I was like, oh, I definitely thought I was the least successful person in this room. Like the whole conference. Like, I didn't find that until like the end of the conference.
I think if you enjoy it,
I don't know. Yeah, so I enjoy
we're talking
it.
about
Like I enjoy kind of
at
sort of being
conferences.
visible for other people and stuff, because I didn't have that.
I think if you enjoy it and you have the time and bandwidth to do
so
it,
much
it's
fun with it.
Yeah, like you love it, so you should do it. Is my take on it. And I think your point is really well taken. Like for me, when I was doing software dev consulting, speaking at conferences was my pipeline. Like it worked. And it was the same. Like people they'd see it on YouTube. They were like, oh, I saw your talk 2 years ago. And for me, it might be the same with this AI consulting if I continue to pursue this direction. It could be the same, right? Like maybe I should go to conferences and speak about how I've implemented AI in different businesses and what you can do with AI. And Yeah, exactly. And so
Like you're building AI stuff for me right now.
That's right. That's right. So there might be a thing there. There might be something there, but yeah, I have nothing lined up.
What is your sales coach saying that you should be doing?
I mean, he's literally,
or is he
like,
just listening to you and you're like talking out loud?
He basically is saying exactly what. So this is actually interesting. Actually, I'd love your take on this if we have time. He's saying exactly what I teach people, right? It's the same thing. He's like, find your niche, make your LinkedIn, right? But now my LinkedIn says, like AI automations or something super generic, right? It's the same advice we give as marketers. Generic is terrible because if it's for everyone, it's for no one. But I told him I built you an inbound SDR pipeline, and he was like, you should go. So then he was like, well, maybe you should lean into that specifically. And like, SaaS founders, you should probably be building automations for SaaS founders. And I'm like, I don't have any money. And he's like, is that true? And I'm like, you're right. That's not true. So anyway, that's my whole thing. So anyway, right now at this very second in time, I think I am going, I know SaaS founders. I think I'll niche down between you guys and like my coaching clients and a couple other interesting chats I've had, like SaaS founders, minimum 50K MRR, trying to build sales pipelines maybe, or trying to build content pipelines, because those are the two that I've done so far.
Yeah. Like where is the manual work happening, right? Because like Claude is automating stuff for us, on the engineering side, but the sales and marketing side has so much manual work that's still going on.
Yeah, but I really am hoping, like, as I work longer for you and learn more about your business, we will discover even more things that can be automated. So that
Are you going to work for me for more than the planned 6 months? Is that what you're saying? I feel like this is such a weird, like, relationship of, like, Okay, well, yeah, okay, it's a weird
publicly
relationship
that we're having publicly, okay? Not only am I working for you.
Is the public version of a relationship weird or the entire relationship?
Just the public. I think just the public part is funny, where it's like it'll just come up on a podcast. Like, what are we gonna do? Have we thought this through? Okay, but this is like
we were on a call last week, and like I forget what it was. There was like,
a
couple of other people from our team were like on the call, and what did we end up talking about? Oh, we started talking about protein.
You started
and how hard it is to eat enough protein. Okay, I'm apparently supposed to be eating 100 and
that's insane,
whatever it
Michele.
is.
It was 140 grams of protein.
Yeah, 143 specifically. And I was like, I don't know how. Like, this is like literally a part-time job of like trying to eat enough protein. Colleen, I did not eat enough protein.
That's an insane amount of protein.
Like,
you're
my
super
coach is gonna
short
be
too.
Mad at me. I know. I don't know why.
You're
like,
literally 6 inches
like,
shorter than me, and I don't eat that much protein.
I don't even know what formula they're using for it and everything. And oh my God,
I do want to talk about your protein.
I think
intake,
I'm only at like 80 or something today. Maybe
but you're
like 90.
super short. You're 140 grams of protein.
But I'm trying to build muscle. Okay, but anyway.
Okay, anyway.
I start having this conversation in the middle of a meeting last week, and then it just like turned to them, and I was like, "This is why we have the podcast."
Oh my gosh.
We were talking about something. No, okay, it's a weird
AI
working relationship.
Automotions. Yes.
Automotions.
Did I say automotions or did you say
AI locomotions?
locomotion?
Because the sort of the plan is like you're going to work for me for 6 months, which I think that started in February, because you want to get this AI consulting going. You want to get, ideally like a product business going out of that. But it's this like weird thing where I'm like, but will you work for me for longer? Rather than, I don't know how you felt when you like had like a corporate or, you were like a full-time employee somewhere where like every time like your boss wanted to talk to you, you were like, I'm getting fired.
I'm getting fired.
Certain I'm getting fired. Right? Like I feel like it's the other way around.
Oh my gosh. I just would like to say, this isn't a great conversation for a podcast, but I love working for you, and I'm not even making that up, because my last job, and you knew how I felt about my last job.
She's just saying that because it's a podcast.
So anyway, I just want you to know that I love working for you, and I love your company, and I'm kind of obsessed with the way you guys run your company. Oh, I literally tell my friends about it. Did I tell you this?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I was talking to a friend, and this friend has a remote co-founder. And you may remember that I once had a remote co-founder. And I think someone had just put out a podcast about their co-founder. It was the guys, the Bootstrap Biz, Justin and Brian and that crew. They had just
the
put
panel?
out. Yes, that's it. So they had just put out a podcast about co-founder issues. So I had listened to that. And I was thinking about like this whole remote co-founder thing and how hard it can be if you have a remote co-founder, because issues can just fester. Because you can just choose to not, deal with something, and you can just ignore it, right? Like you can just ignore these problems. And I think it was Justin was like, we were just ignoring these big problems because we didn't have to deal with them. And he was far away and I didn't really know how he felt. And then we got together and it was all solved. What I think is so cool about the way you guys run your company is I was on a call with you in the morning. And then I was on a call with your husband in the afternoon. And your husband said something. And I thought in my head, oh, Michelle's not going to like that. But I didn't say anything. And then this happened. I didn't tell you this. And then what was so great about this is instead of this becoming a thing, whatever, I don't even remember, it was tiny, it was a tiny thing. But instead of it becoming like a whole thing, you guys talked about it over dinner and it was solved the next morning. Like your speed to decision making is so fast because you can just talk about it over dinner and solve it. Whereas if you had been remote co-founders, that could have taken a week, 2 weeks, a month. Like it's crazy. It makes such a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I guess also for the two of us, like we worked together before we were ever a couple or ever co-founders together, and so it's just super natural.
You already know how to work together.
Like we already know how to like problem solve things,
yeah.
And I think like so much of life really is project management. And we're not always perfect at it. Like I think construction project management was a challenge for both of us. Software project management, easy in comparison.
Easy compared.
Not that we always do it amazingly, right? I don't know. We're also like, probably very boring people for our daughter to listen to at the dinner table. So she's had to deal with
about like her whole life, actually, right?
Yeah.
As I think about like things I want to do in the future and people I want to work with, noticing your dynamic. Like I have so noticed your dynamic and it is so positive. And like when I think about other people, like seriously, because I want to start another business, whether it's this consulting or it's a product. I love working with people. Like my life goal is to build software with people I like. Like I love working with people. But your dynamic is very noticeable in a good way in that like this is maybe a tiny disagreement or maybe I don't understand this. We're going to handle this literally right now and it will be solved in 8 hours. Most people don't do that. Anyway, that's cool. That's all.
I mean, I guess we kind of come back to what we were talking about, like in person, like maybe like, do you need to have an in-person relationship before you co-found a company with somebody? And
I don't know.
Like, and not just over Zoom, right? Like you know them like, Sandra, you know them physically. Like like
you are real. You're not AI
very
generated.
close to saying you know them biblically, which is not required.
I feel like
but like you have met them like in person, and maybe you at least like live in the same general metropolitan area, and you can meet up about things.
I just like
I
think I'm not saying you need it, but like just seeing the way you guys work compared to other people I have worked for or like other experiences I have had, like it seems like it makes a huge difference. Is all I'm saying.
I'm really happy to hear that, and it's so nice of you to just talk about how great we are on a podcast. But like I think something actually you wanted to dig into last time, and we just kind of skirted over it, was our journey to hiring people.
Yes.
And you're, I feel like that
so excited.
That face was like you were like I actually have a microwave right here, and I'm pulling out some popcorn that I've had sitting here warming for this moment, and you're just like,
that's right. Just been waiting for it for 5 years.
5 long years.
5 long years.
Like the Titanic lady. Okay. And I think that, there's a variety of reasons that we held off on hiring, right? Like, I don't think we made our first hire until we were like I don't know, 1.5, 2 million ARR. And part of that was me being afraid that I would basically be an amalgamation of like every bad boss I had ever had, but like worse. Like I was afraid I would be a terrible person to work for. And also I had heard like horror stories from people who had worked for couples and them saying how they would never work for a couple ever again. And I was like, oh God, like I'm going to be a terrible boss. And then just like the dynamic of having, bosses who are married, like is also going to be just awful for whomever is working for us. And it's really important to me to, whenever I've had a difficult experience in my life, to like not replicate that for other people. Like ideally we're providing a better work environment for people, and also like a better product experience than they've had elsewhere, right? Like that's so important to me. And then I think after we moved here, and like just customer support with time zones and everything, it just became really, really difficult. And we happened to have, a sort of trusted former coworker of Matthias's become available. And then I had my VA as well, who I brought, who was my VA, I guess, for 2 years before I brought her in house. And I think after like 2 years of that, and then being like, no, you're not terrible to work for, like I kind of started to believe them. But I seriously thought it would just be like a terrible place to work because it's a couple, and that I would be terrible to work for.
Well, I'm glad you realized that wasn't true. I mean, it's like anything in life. If you're aware of what you don't want to do, I think you are extra cautious to not act in that way.
I hope so.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying, if you saw these example of terrible bosses, so you were attuned to the fact that you didn't want to manage in that particular way.
Yeah, but I think the, and I'm actually, I should say that I'm very lucky to have some, like I've had some amazing bosses, like one of whom was the best man in our wedding and is still one of our close friends. But yeah, I think I was so afraid of that. And I think sometimes when you read a lot of business advice, like a lot of it is like, oh, you should hire at like, this MRR, or like this MRR, you should have this MRR.
Yeah,
per employee,
they're very
or like,
specific.
It's all, but it's, well, it's specific, but it's all like, it's only the rational side of it, right? Like it doesn't take that into consideration of like, oh, like I had actually never managed people before. Like I had managed interns, plenty of interns, but I'd never had a full-time employee who was my direct report. And I think one of the most valuable things you can do as an entrepreneur is to learn as much as possible on other people's dime and make mistakes on other people's dime. And like, it's not like you have to learn everything before you run a company, right? But like absorb as much as you can and make mistakes when it doesn't really matter, when you're going to get a salary anyway. Yeah, I mean, not huge mistakes, right? But like, like learn, like especially like basic stuff like managing people. I wish I, could have learned that as a FTE myself. And I guess that's just, I don't know, something I sometimes find missing a little bit is like the emotional piece of fears or reservations or like backstory that someone might have beyond rationally looking at a set of numbers and making a decision based on that. And I think everyone thinks that you should only make decisions rationally. But like decisions are always emotional, right? There's always an emotional component to them. And you cannot separate the emotion, because the emotion actually makes you a better decision maker. Like there's studies of people who had traumatic brain injuries and lost the parts of their brain that are emotional. Mm-hmm. And as a result, they were unable to make decisions because they could not decide what they wanted to eat that day, right? Wow. They did not know how they felt about specific foods. right? And so if you lose the emotion, now you can't just use the emotion, right?
Yeah.
You can't just decide that like Skittles are the most amazing food and then just eat Skittles, right? Because you are not going to hit your protein goals if you just eat Skittles. Okay, let me
get
tell you.
143 grams of protein.
Maybe speaking
Skittles.
from experience, I don't know. Like, I don't even like Skittles that much. I'm a Starburst girl. But like, you know, you can't just make decisions based on that, but you cannot also separate the emotion from it, and you cannot separate the emotion from, you know, like you know, I mentioned like the ship score framework I made to help you prioritize, you know, like bugs and feature requests and all your ideas, and like which ones are the ones you should be prioritizing, right? Like, you can do all of that, but you can't separate the emotion of, oh, I feel bad when people are writing in with a bunch of bugs, right? Like I feel like I'm letting them down, right?
Yeah.
Or pressure you might feel around it. And I think, I mean, I guess you can probably guess what my opinion is on stoicism. But I think emotion is actually helpful.
Yeah.
And I guess the fact that I had those like feels about being afraid of being a terrible boss, I mean, hopefully they made me a better one, because as you said, I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been talking 80% of the time for the past 10 minutes or whatever. And I just realized that. And now I'm thirsty because I've been talking so much. I don't know. I mean, like, I guess, how do you see that playing into your work?
So it's so interesting you bring this up, because you know me, right? Like, I want to have my own business, which I do, but like, I want all the things. And so, but what I have noticed is a lot of people will now bounce their ideas off of me. And I am very, very discerning when I think about if it's a huge if, right? Like, this AI consulting might be just a total win, and I might just do this and get my house.
I hope so.
Hope so. We all hope so. But I have found that I've been very discerning about what kind of business ideas I'm willing to pursue. And I think, one, like, my filter is just more refined after having done this several times. But I also think there's like this emotional piece to it. And you know me, like, I don't really do that very well.
Well, you do. No, actually, you do it like the best of anybody I know. Like, you process emotions so well, and you don't sit on them or ignore them, but you also don't get overwhelmed by them. Like, you are literally the most emotionally healthy person I know, to the point where it confuses me. Like, that is how I describe you to people. Like,
I love that. I love hearing that. That's good to hear. But I find that I am letting, so as I think about, like, do I want to pursue this idea with this person? Do I want to pursue this idea with this person? I am letting, like, I almost feel like in the world of AI, like, having an emotional bent is important, because it makes you human.
Bent.
It's thank you. Like, a human bent. Like, I'm going to pursue this idea because I'm incredibly passionate about it. I'm going to pursue this idea because I think it's going to win. Whatever it is, I think having that as a bit of a driver is a super positive thing.
I completely agree.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, we're in agreement.
Go team.
It is 9:30 p.m.
Oh my gosh, how are you still awake?
50 grams of protein to eat. Didn't get any of the stuff done that I wanted to get done today. I think we're going to call it for today.
Yeah, you need to go to bed.
You're going on vacation, right? Next week?
I am going on vacation next week. I'm very excited.
You might write a blog post for me about it, and people can
find
out about it. I know, yeah. So we're going to just...
Although if you're 54 minutes into this podcast, I could probably tell you, because you're really committed to
it. It involves Geocodio and AI.
Okay, we'll talk about it next week.
Spoilers.
You should have seen.
We're not going to be on next week.
Oh, and I was so excited about it, and you guys were all asleep. And like, how I get really excited about things. So I really wanted to tell everyone.
It was like middle of the night our time. It's not like it was like 3 p.m. our time. And we're just
And,
like conked out on our desks. Okay.
I want to like send you guys all these Slack messages about how excited I am about the Geocodio CLI. And I'm like, Colleen, simmer down. They don't need to see all of your screenshots.
Write all of them and then schedule them to send at 9 a.m.
To send in the morning when you guys wake up.
Barrage.
Like, look what I did. Look what I did. I'm so excited. This is so cool. Anyway.
You should do
random
that.
tangent. Well,
or maybe
I'm gonna
just
go on
make
my
a channel
vacation.
of like Colleen's
idea
as a
I
channel.
also
and then I'm not getting a DM. Oh my God, do you have a channel where you're just talking to yourself?
Okay, there are so many things I want to send to the Geocodio Slack, but you guys seem very serious, so I don't do it.
You should send it. Oh my God,
Like
we
this
are not
morning,
serious.
I did share the
You're
Stripe
so
Minion
not
API
serious.
because I really wanted you guys to see that. But anyway, yeah, we should just have Colleen's excited ideas. All the great
you
ideas.
should
Colleen
share
has.
things. We are not like
Everyone
oh my
seems
God,
very
the last thing I
serious
hope
over
we
there.
are is like
so-
serious and stodgy and like
I didn't say stodgy. I just said serious.
well, I said stodgy. That's what I don't want to be.
Oh, anyway.
We
okay.
actually, we realized actually last summer when I hired our friend Leanna Patch, your former
my former
co-coach,
co-coach.
to work on copy for our website, our new website, which has not launched yet. Maybe by the next time we record it will.
Ooh, that'd be exciting.
And something I realized was like none of our personality was in Geocodio at all.
At all.
Like,
yeah.
None of it. Like, and not that, a company like the brand should be a reflection of the founders' personalities, but like there was like a startling lack of any personality. And also it had like, been run by such a small team for such a long time, like as our little like software baby. Like it was just very like, wow, this is weird that we made it so bland. And I'm so sorry to hear that our Slack is bland.
I did. Oh my gosh, I take it back. We shouldn't have a
bring
podcast
in some
anymore.
of that California
'cause I
spice.
can't
Like, look,
bring
it's you know what? It's like we're in Denmark here. Our
Oh my
spices are
gosh.
salt, pepper, and paprika. Don't go too heavy on the paprika, right? I need you to pour some of that California hot sauce on our Slack. All right, like make it interesting.
Oh man. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll let you go to bed.
Yeah, I should do that. After,
You should do that.
Publish this, and then I'll do that. But we don't.
Okay.
I don't think I have to edit anything out. Like we were.
No,
we were good.
We were fine.
There
Nope.
were no interruptions by people coming to the door.
Thank
I don't think
goodness.
we swore, which is so good.
We didn't.
Like, did I tell you, by the way, what our daughter, for some reason, I asked her to describe me, how she would describe me to other people. Did I tell you this?
No, but I want to hear it.
Yeah. And she's like, well, can we take out the part where I have to tell other people? And I was like, okay, here we go. That was my popcorn moment. She said that I am always 5 minutes late, that I like to show daddy funny cartoons from the New Yorker.
Sounds right.
And that I swear a lot.
That's amazing.
And that I'm sweet and nice and blah, blah, blah. That was sort of added on.
Added on at the end, just in case.
Yes.
That's funny.
This is great. But I didn't swear. It's pretty good. I'm capable. Just apparently not in front of my child.
Not in front of your
that's-
child, but that's fine.
I'm not swearing at her, to be clear. Like, this is like, we're talking like stubbed toe type things, okay? Anyway. Well, now that I have made myself sound like a terrible parent.
Yeah, this is,
who is
again, the weirdest
giving my
podcast ever. I don't know. Like, we're just like, I completely feel like, yeah, I'm just doing whatever I want here. Anyway, it's all good.
That's it. All right.
That's what we do.
Well, we will be back in a few weeks after
spring
Easter
break.
break, and then everyone is recovered from Easter break. So yeah maybe like 3-ish weeks from now, 2-3-ish weeks.
Sounds good.
Let's say 3.
Okay, let's say 3.
Yeah, and then we can always surprise people by doing it sooner, but we're not going to do it sooner because there's like school vacations. Right? Managing expectations.
You're not supposed to tell the people that.
I know.
That's not how
Okay,
managing
it's actually going to be
expectations.
6 weeks, and then we're going to release it in 3. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
All right, bye. Bye.